to the much awaited dignitary presentation, very distinguished speech by none other than our His Excellency Shri Akhilesh Mishra ji. Thank you very much, sir, for gracing this occasion. It is actually very inconvenient for you with the time zone differences to be available for us. And it is our good fortune that we are able to get your presence and speech also. Ambassador, His Excellency Shri Akhilesh Mishra ji is a 1988 batch IFS Indian Foreign Service officer. He has served in the Ministry of External Affairs in various very important positions. With regard to the academic and other credentials of Ambassador Mishra ji, he holds degrees of Bachelor of Technology and Masters of Technology, both from the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, Banaras Hindu University, and was the topper and gold medalist in both, securing a record 10 cumulative grade points average in MTech. You may imagine from technology to Sanskrit studies. And Ambassador Mishra speaks Spanish, Italian, and Nepalese, and knows among Indian languages Hindi and Sanskrit besides English. He has the person behind him, Ambassador Mishra's wife, Mrs. Reeti Mishra ji, also is a multiple language speaker. She is also a polyglot, a Spanish and Italian speaker. Both of them are interested in yoga studies, and they have contributed. The couple has contributed to many social service activities, charity initiatives, and yoga research and handicrafts work. Within his own career, he has covered areas of Indian diplomacy, political, security and geostrategic affairs, economic and commercial, investment and technology issues, education, research and innovation, cultural and software engagements, Indian diaspora, and India's development partnership with other countries. With the he is very proud of his origins from Varanasi, the city of Shiva, and he has many contributions towards the significance of Varanasi. Today, he, as a creative person, he comes up with new topics. So today he chose the topic of contemporary relevance of Shaivism for this conference. My request to His Excellency Shri Akhilesh Mishra ji to start his speech. Over to you, Shri Akhilesh Mishra ji.
Namaskar. My very warm greetings from Dublin, Ireland. At the outset, I would like to express my very sincere, profuse thanks to very dynamic, visionary leadership of Indic Academy, and also my friends from Bharat Adhyan Kendra, Banaras University, which is my very dear alma mater. My special thanks to Nagaraj Paturi ji and Hari Kiran ji, Srinivas ji and Amit Pandey ji for taking initiative to invite me. Friends,
Manish Maheshwari ji is the main person behind.
Thank you, Maheshi. I'm really grateful. Really grateful for your initiative. And this initiative is particularly significant for us all Indians because we are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So I see this invigorating discussion in the context of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So I applaud each one of you. Atitah panthanam tavacha mahima vang manasayor ratadvyavritya yam chakitam abhidhatte shrutimapi sakasya stotavyah katividhi gunah kasya vishayah pade tvarvachine patati namanah kasya navachah. It is a very daunting task even for great scholars and sages to describe and talk about Shivji. I am a layman, simply overwhelmed by the emotions just by thinking about the glory of Shiva and his Mahima. So at the outset, I must underline that as a novice, as a just very initial student of Shiva Mata, what I'm going to say is no authority. I'm expressing my very personal, private thoughts, initial thoughts, and it's not representative of the government of India's or Ministry of External Affairs official position. Friends, on the topic of my presentation, why is it important for all of us to study India, study Shaivism and understand Shaivism? What is the contemporary relevance of Shaivism today for contemporary India? Normally, people mention about two things about the contemporary relevance of Shaivism. First is that it is very ancient, one of the oldest thought processes and philosophies in the whole world. But a great poet, Kalidas, warned us that Purana mityeva na sadhu sarvam, na chapi kavyam navamathyavadyam, santah parikshantarad bhajante, munah parapratyayaneya buddhihi. Nothing is excellent just because it is ancient, nor everything which is new is bad. Wise men use their own discretion to judge what is good or bad, but fools blindly follow others. Nothing is valuable or worthless in isolation, in itself. It is important to judge the significance of anything in a specific context, in the specific timeline and in the perspective. For antiquity to have the contemporary relevance and value, it must contain the positivity, something to inspire, something to motivate and nurture and guide us today, give us a strength and hope today. It must possess the nature of timelessness and universality. And it is in this context that I feel that Shaivism is extremely important, indeed central to the India's incredible, unmatched record of continuity in change since prehistoric age to Vedic period, to Indus Valley period, to Upanishads, the Puranic, epic, classical period till today. The Shaivism represents the continuity in the change of Indian philosophical thought, Indian civilization, Indian culture. So that makes Shaivism so critically valuable and important for India. Second aspect is that people say Shaivism is important because there are so many followers of Shaivism, starting from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from the east to west, that because the number of followers are so many, therefore Shaivism is so important. Again, friends, I believe that importance and value and validity of an idea or a thought is not determined just by the number of followers or number of adherents, but by the thought leader who shows the way by his own example. Yad yad achariti shrestha tattat devetaro janah sa yat pramanam kurute lokah tadanuvartate. That exemplary aspect of leadership that makes an idea, an approach so significant. Even Nazi Germany has a lot of followers of Hitler, and also there is a rapidly growing number of followers of the ideology of Islamic State or Al-Qaeda or Taliban. But it does not make them exalted or praiseworthy or noble. As Gandhiji reminded us, truth remains truth, even when it is in the minority of one. Not the number of followers, but the essential value of the Shaivism philosophy in terms of its benign, beneficial impact and positive influence on the society and the human well-being that makes Shaivism so relevant today. Sarvo midam mai protam sutre mani gana iva. Shiva sustains, weaves together harmonizes all facets of human life in a very, very magnificent manner. If you look at Maheshwara Sutra, which provides the foundational structure, architecture of Devvani and our language, and influences whole gamut of creativity. So Shiva is Vakpati. All sounds are contained in those 14 Maheshwara Sutras. So he is the giver of sound, the secret of sound, the science of sound. He is Vakpati. He is also Nataraja. If you look at Natya Shastra, then he plays a very, very central role in the conception and creation of the glorious treatise of Natya Shastra. Nandi, his Gana, plays a very important role in creation of Kama Sutra. And all forms of creativity, whether it's a poetry, whether it's a drama, whether it's any kind of literature from Valmiki till Amish Tripathi, everyone who has spoken about Indian mythology, all forms of philosophical thoughts in India, including all religions which were established, which grew from India, from Jainism and Buddhism to Sikhism, all of them have been woven together by the Shaivism thought. Also, it's very fascinating that under one benign umbrella protective gauge of Shiva lies both Ramchandra and Ravan. To him go both Devas and Daityas. So that is also very significant in terms of its very categorical rejection of the externally imposed notion of black and white contrasting divide between the Dravidians and Aryans. He is the ultimate harmonizer and unifier of India. That is why, friends, I feel Shaivism is so vital, fundamental, foundational in significance for us, for India, and for the entire humanity. If we conceive India, Indian culture, Indian civilization as a very large, huge tree with countless branches, leaves, and flowers and fruits, then Shaivism in its pre-Samism to me represents the primordial seed of this glorious tree. And it's invisible root which is hidden from the sight. And over time, so many insects, so many creatures, birds, animals, human beings have found shelter under this great tree. They have sought a refuge in it. And also many of them, successive waves of people and creatures who have come under this tree, they have made their homes in its bosom and embellished the tree and the branches and their nests in their own way. There are different kinds of nests and homes built on this tree, enriching and creating beauty, different kinds of diversity in the beauty of that great tree. While we rejoice and enjoy the beauty of the lush green leaves and fragrance of the flowers of that great tree and sweetness of its countless fruits, we must never forget the root which is hidden from the sight. Because chinne mule naiva vriksho nashakha. If we lose sight of that glorious, that divine seed, that root, which we don't see in our normal life with our ordinary vision, that is the point of worship, point of reverence for all of us. Fortunately, friends, for India and for the human society, the root of this divine tree is not below, hidden under the earth, the soil. But the root is above. Urdha moolam adha shakham ashwatham prahuravyayam chandans yasya paranani yastam veda sa vedavit. It is this urdha moolam that has continued to nurture and sustain and hold together India's culture, India's civilization ethos, while the tangible, material, and visible constructs, visible structures of India, as you know, have faced constant, repeated attacks, onslaughts, depredations, and destructions by successive waves of invaders who came to India. And that is why it is the Urdhva Moolam, which is in the domain of thoughts, domain of ideas, that India remains the ethos of like continuity in change, while यूनान, मिस्र, रोमा सब मिट गए, जहां से हमारी जो खास बात है वो वही है. And that is what has given Indian civilization the resilience to cope with constant, most pernicious, assiduous, sustained attacks by hostile elements to the ethos of that intangible spirit of eternal India, Sanatan Dharma. The most serious, vicious attack on India and our Sanatan Dharma has been to undermine and destroy the foundation of that essential unity, which is epitomized by that single root, Urdhva Moolam. What they do is they sow the misperception and confusion about the plurality of the origin. It kind of confusing a child by mentioning that you have multiple parents, multiple parenthood. And therefore, if the seed gets broken into many, the root gets broken into many, then we get divided, and that creates fear, that creates hostility, that creates animosity, that creates tension and conflict. And foreign invaders, particularly the European colonial powers, they worked extremely maliciously, viciously to destroy the self-confidence, the self-pride of Indians in order to subjugate and rule. They had to create inferiority complex in the native population and sense of racial superiority about these Christian whites. So if the Indians rooted in Indian tradition had to be condemned as worthless and primitive, and everything valuable had to be traced back to the Greece, to Italy, to European civilizations. Similarly, if the Abrahamic single book based religions had to be given the credit for creating the notion of one single God of the entire universe, then all prior conceptions of God or the Almighty must be necessarily projected and portrayed as polytheistic. And to do this, the Europeans indulged in every possible tactic of Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed, Upeksha, deception, propaganda, and also blatant falsehood, cover up of very evident, glaring truths. It is very clear to us who have seriously even looked at the Vedic text that Vedas predate Bible, there is no question. Also that Vedas preach monoistic message. And this is unambiguous if you read the most famous mantra, Indram Mitram Varuna Magni Mahuratho Divyah Sa Suparno Garutman Ekam Sad Vipra Bahudha Vadanti Yamam Ma Agnim Yamam Matarishwana Mahuhu. Again, the Devvani Sanskrit has such a fascinating quality that the words in Sanskrit are not arbitrarily picked up because of usage, because of tradition. Like cow, there is no reason why cow, C-O-W, represents that animal. But in Sanskrit, every word has a reason. Every word is based on very sharp observation of the properties. And it's a guna-based shabd, rachana. So on this Ekam Sad Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, if you look at the mantra in its entirety, all lines, then Indram Idi Parameshwarye. Idi root means have almighty power. Mitram Medyati Snehyati Snehyate Va Mitraha. The root is Mitra because he loves all and he desired by all, loved by all. This is not the Mitra in terms of human friendship, because a friend of mine may be enemy to someone else, may be neutral to someone else, whereas the Almighty is friendly to everyone and has no hostility towards anyone. So that is Indram and Mitram. Varun, the root is Var. Varane, Var ipsayam yah sarvan shishtan. Var means desire. Varun is one who is desired by and sought after by the learned men. Agni is from Anj Gati Pujanayoh. Agi Gatestrayo Artha Jnanam Gamanam. The Agni is name of the God because he is incarnate knowledge, he is omniscient, he is worth knowing, he is worth acquiring, and he is counted very first. Divya Dyusu Shuddheshu Padartheshu Ya Wo Divaha. Some Divya. Divya is one who is most divine and in the most divine, most effulgent of all. Suparno Shobhanani Paranani Palanani Karmani Va Yasya Saha. One who is protector and preserver of the universe. Garutman, Yo Guruvatma Sa Garutman, whose glory, whose Atma, whose innate Sarup is glorious, Mahan. Yam, Yah Sarvan Pranino Niyachati Sa Yamaha. One who controls all beings is called Yama. Matarishwa, Yo Matarishwa, Vayuryu Balavan Sa Matarishwa. One who is powerful like wind is Matarishwa. You can see Indram, Mitram, Varuna, Agni, Divya, Suparno, Garutman, Yam, Matarishwa. These are not different gods. These are attributes, they are features, they are aspects of the same God. So there is no plurality. It's a most candid, most authoritative expression of Ekatwavad, one single divinity, one single Almighty. Also, friends, Vedas have no concept of anthropomorphic gods, as Christianity or Islam teaches us that a human being, God has a form of human being, or human beings are created in the form of the Almighty. This is not the belief of our sages, our rishis. The God in Indian concept is supranatural being, power without physical bodies. Purush, as we know today, is not masculine human being, but a supreme divine being having no physical body. He is formless, he is cosmic, he is pervading entire universe. The Purusha in Vedas is not the Purusha, man, human male of the later Sanskrit. Puri sansare shete sarva mabhivapya vartate sa purusha parameshwaraha. Vishwataschakshurut vishwato mukho vishwato bahurut vishwataspat sambahubhyam dhamati sampatatatrair dyava bhumi janayan deva ekah. Sahasrasirsha purushah sahasrakshah sahasrapat sa bhumim sarvataspritvatyatishthati dashangulah. So it is absurd to describe human form and human emotions, human passions and desires to Purush or Parameshwar, or its infinite manifestations, its infinite names. It is absurd to talk about hierarchy of Vedic gods, Devatas, Indra, Agni, Vayu, Rudra, Shiva, Ganesh, Ashwini, Kumar, Vishnu, and also feminine names. It's childish to describe, to arrange them in a pecking order based on how many mantras are attributed to them. Also, friends, in Vedas, Purush is not masculine, male human being, but without any specific gender. He's often it is often referred to as Tat. Rig Veda has about 30 women rishis, and specific hymns are associated with them. So the India and Shaivism is the only philosophical thought process where the supreme being is not masculine. Tvam stri, tvam pumanasi, tvam kumar utava kumari, tvam jirno dandena vanchasi, tvam jato bhavas vishwato mukhaha. Naiva stri na pumanasi, na chaivayam napunsakah, yat yat shariram adatte, tena sa yujyate. Na tasya pratima asti, yasya naam mahad yashah. प्रतिमा जिसे पदार्थों का परिमाण किया जाए, नाप किया जाए, तो जो अनंत है उसका परिणाम, उसकी माप कैसे होगी? Anyone who has organs, limbs cannot be all pervasive. Anyone who has eyes and ears and nose must have someone to create them. Therefore, we can't think of physical form of the ultimate reality. We can't invoke gods through mantras, by chanting mantras. If it was possible to invoke deities by chanting mantras, then the same statue could have also got the consciousness of the Sachidanand. If it is possible to invoke deities in a wood or a clay statue, then it would also have been possible for me to invoke God into my child or my father. So, as Vedas say, Trayo Arthaha Sarva Vedeshu. Vedas have to be seen, they have multiple meanings, because they consider very illiterate and ignorant to speak very candid, very direct, blunt language. They had that beauty of conveying messages subtly, and the greatness lied in dwelling deep to assess the meaning of the true message. The plurality and perception of the description of the Almighty, the same single supreme being which has in itself no form, has existed because of individuals, our interests, our shortcomings, our interests, our proclivities. Sarvendriya gunabhasam, sarvendriya vivarjitam, sarvasya prabhumishanam, sarvasya sharanam brihat. Nana rupa vidhata tvam bhaktanam dhyana hetave. Yeshu rupeshu yat pritihi tattat rupam vibharshicha. The Almighty does a great favor to us by giving us the perception of a form which we want, we adore, we like. Ananta Nam Dheyaya Sarvakara Vidhaine Samasta Mantra Vachyaya Vishwaika Pataye Namaha. He has infinite names, assumes all forms, but all hymns, all prayers speak of the same single master and the protector of the entire universe. Sarvo Vai Rudrastasmai Rudraya Namostu. Purusho Vai Rudraha Sanmaho Namo Namaha. Vishwam Bhutam Bhuvanam Chitram Bahudha Jatam Jayamanam Chayat Sarvo Hesha Rudrastasmai Rudraya Namostu. Na bhumir, na chapo, na vahnir, na vayur, na chakasha mastre, na tandra, na nidra, na grishmo, na shito, na desho, na vesho, na yasyasti murti trimurtim tamide. Veda hametam purusham mahantam aditya varanam tamasah parastat Tameva viditvati mrityumeti nanyah pantha vidyate yanaya. Only by understanding the reality of the same single Brahma Purush, the ultimate power, the Paramatma, that we can liberate ourselves from all suffering. Realization of the Rudra, Shiva, Ganesh, Vishnu, Uma, Shri, Lakshmi, Parvati, Agni, Indra, Varuna, Yama, Surya, whatever name you might call him or her, dissolves all contradictions and harmonizes all dualities. Anuraniyan mahato mahiyan yasmat param naparamasti kinchit yasman naniyo najayosti kinchit apanipado javano grahita pashyatyachakshu sasrunotyakarana tadaijati tannaijati taddure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyatah. If we think about the root, urdhumulam, then we don't fall into this debate of who is greater, my God is greater and your God is inferior. Also, friends, to realize this ultimate reality, our external senses are inadequate. न चक्षुषा ग्रह्यते नापि वाचा नान्यैः देवैः तपसा कर्मणा वा ज्ञान प्रसादेन विशुद्ध सत्वः ततः तु तं पश्यते निष्कलं ध्यायमानः. This dhyan, this insight, inner vision through avritta chakshusha, closing your eyes, that presents before us a cosmically unified web of existence. Ritasya tantum vitatam drishekam. Like a web, everything is interconnected and interdependent, and there is one single integrated whole. Vishwam bhavatyeka needam, in which not only the entire humanity, but all creatures, even birds, animals, plants, animate and inanimate bodies, all find that there is one single home for all of them. And purnasya purnamadaya purnameva vashishyate. So there is no hierarchy among beings created by Almighty, because they are all part of the same single cosmic web. Therefore, there is absolutely no question of dispute or debate about one God being superior or inferior to another. Rama, Krishna, Shiva, or Varuna, Indra, Yama, Radha, Sita, Parvati, Kali, Saraswati, all become equal. It's only our glass which decides what color they appear. Also, friends, the rituals and external modes of worship are merely external visual or hearing aids, kind of. They are not the real upasana which has to happen in our mind through meditation, through contemplation. And again, I mentioned like trayo artha sarva vedeshu. It depends how deep, like a diver, how deep you plunge into the ocean. That decides what you see. If you are only at the surface, then you see one view of the reality. If you go deeper, then you see a different view of reality. If you still go deeper, then you see a different world. Friends, let me end with my message to the charismatic leadership of Indica and the young scholars who are connected with this program. Friends, today, as we know that India and the whole world is so deeply polarized, there is so much of toxicity, and therefore it is so important for us to focus on the essence of Shaivism, because that is about harmonizing. Asannaya suduraya guptaya prakatatmane sulabhayate durgaya namaschitraya shambhave. If you think of him, then everyone comes under that one umbrella. Second point is, please don't copy others. Even the name of Shaivism, if you think of it, ism itself is hardly 3 centuries old, with Greek and Latin origin. And also ism is a pejorative, depreciative word. You will never hear any devout Christian talking about Christianism or talking about Christism. Muslims will not talk about Islamism or Mohammedism. But they will only talk about Marxism and Maoism and terrorism. So we have to find an Indian proper description of Shaivism. Ism is not good for us. Also, I can mention that there is an ongoing controversy about Hindutva and Hinduism. I'm not referring to the political dimension of Hindutva, but I feel very upset that there's a systematic propaganda campaign against Hindutva, which means the essence of being Hindu. And they say that Hindutva is bad, but Hinduism is good, because Hinduism is a very narrow description. And if Hindutva, which means the core issues, core values, core belief of the Sanatan Dharma, if they are taken out of our existence, then Hinduism will automatically burst and collapse. That is the conspiracy. And we have to guard against it. Third, friends, the expansion of our knowledge, our sight is not looking outside, but looking inwards. So we have to meditate more, think more, and we have to discard all external distractions so that we can contemplate better. We Indians need an indigenous framework to see, study, understand, and interpret India. Not constantly try to squeeze ourselves or wriggle ourselves to fit into some externally imposed framework of Indology that has been created, imposed on us with regard to Indian studies. We should be the masters, and others, external scholars, should come to us to seek validation of their knowledge, not the other way around. Why should we rush to Western scholars and Western newspapers to get our research validated? Lastly, friends, Prime Minister Modi has given us the call of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And I believe that Atmanirbhar Bharat will be incomplete without developing that self-dependence in knowledge domains. We must not prematurely rush to outside to seek their validation, or immediately showcase whatever little we do, we run to showcase to external audience. Let us imbibe those lessons of fruits of our research within India. If India succeeds, then others will follow. The positive state of mind, purity of thought, and determined purposeful action will certainly lead us to glory, make our country Vishwaguru again. Yat pragyanamut cheto dhritischa yat jyotirantaram mritam prajasu yasman narite kinchana karma kriyate tanme manah shiva sankalpamastu. Let our thoughts be noble, and that will pave our way to glory. Thank you so much. And once again, I'm really grateful to Indic Academy friends who have been visionary and initiating this nationwide campaign to relook our glorious heritage. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Such a scintillating, such a luminous, such a erudite presentation that you have made. Wow. If it would have been a physical presentation, I am sure it would have been a standing ovation from all the panelists and all the audience, sir. This kind of scholarly presentation, usually people don't expect from bureaucrats. Wow, you are such a combination of erudition and administrative efficiency, sir. Let me share as a personal note, Shri Mishra ji, that this argument that you made today was brought by me during the physical conference at Bharatiya Adhyan Kendra, Banaras Hindu University, towards the end during my valedictory address. The Sri Meghji, who is there now as a panelist in the panel, brought in a paper where he was arguing for two issues. One is the prominence of Shiva as supreme or sectarian idea of Shaivism, both these, whether they were older or not. And as a response to that, I brought in this argument that, as you rightly said, through the indigenous framework, both these are absolutely problematic. Supremacism, somebody as supreme, and sectarian. The very word sectarian is their category. Ism, Shaiva ism. What we have as an insider word is just Shaiva.
Yeah.
Shaiva is there. Shaiva has been used repeatedly, but no ism. And the whole indigenous framework for this is Ekeshwara and Eka Brahman.
Yes.
So that Brahman and Ishvara being the two main categories, if you read either Shaiva Siddhanta works or Vaishnava works, they use the Brahman and Ishvara as the categories, and then they bring Vishnu as Brahman and Ishvara or Shiva as Brahman and Ishvara on both sides. So that single entity, I am grateful to you today to have reminded me. I made a mistake during my valedictory address by going to Brahmanas, Aranyakas, and Niruktas, and by not bringing the mantra itself. But today you made my day by bringing the Rigveda mantra itself, where that Ekeshwaratva through Ekam Satvitraha Baudha Vadanti, and by bringing all the names Mitra, Varuna, etc., and combining them all into an Ekeshwara Tattva by Rigveda itself. While you were speaking, I went to Griffith's translation online, English translation of the same mantra. I wanted to see whether he distorted it, but he correctly translated. I saw that he correctly translated. So, if you are correctly translating, you must be aware that there is that idea of one single entity having multiple names and all that. Then why should you search for this in a later time, Nirukta, or later, or any text or any other thing? You are already aware that by Rigveda mantra itself, that one single entity is already there. And that being given, making Rudra as center, or Vishnu as center, or Surya as center, or Ganapati as center, or Kumara as center, that probably the multiple possibilities are there. Why actually even Prana has been made center, Pranava has been made center. So you, instead of calling Pranava ism, we can say Pranava Siddhanta, Pranava Kendraka Siddhanta, Prana Kendraka Siddhanta. Many such multiple possibilities are there, and you have, my feeling is that your eloquence is coming from your clarity. Your eloquence is coming from your commitment to clarity. You are not beating around the bush at all. You're very straight in your thought, all because you have a clarity of thinking. You have covered the entire gamut of Vedic material, and you have covered commentaries, bhashyas, went to etymologies of words also. It's such a great erudition, sir. Wow, we are so lucky to have you, not just on account of your position in the government of India or Ministry of External Affairs, sir, but just as a scholar. We need you, sir. We need your guidance. We need your guidance in many of our forums, just not this conference. Please be in touch with us. We will be in touch with us rather, to take your help and guidance hereafter in many aspects. You really, all your final messages are very well noted, and all the audience here and beyond, people will definitely take your messages forward with gratefulness, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I must say, I have been inspired by your work and also the passion, the sincere commitment that I see. I have been in touch with some of your scholars of Indica, and it's so refreshing that people who have tremendous professional expertise, they are sparing time for this research, and you are role models. And in a very small manner, whatever I can do as a brother, as a supporter, your cause needs support. And also we need a multidisciplinary, because Veda is a combination of all different aspects of knowledge. To just knowing Sanskrit is not enough. Just knowing one subject is not enough. We need a selfless team of like people like you from different disciplines.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very
And
much.
I'm always at your disposal. Whatever I can do, you can think of, just let me know. And if it is possible, to treat it as done.
That
Because
is so gratifying.
your cause is something that deeply inspires me. I'm older, but even young people like you inspire others, inspire me.
That is so gratifying. Sri
Yes.
Harikaran Vadlamani ji, Sri Manish Maheshwari ji, Meg ji, myself, and all the
Ji.
people of Indica are very grateful to your offer, sir. It is
Hmm.
heartening to hear your words. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very kind. Very kind.